Yeah, that's right. Pop-Pop's back in this. And so is Carolina football. Huddle up.
You don't want none! You don't want none!
All right, Pop-Pop. Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks, Dad. Okay. All right. We'll see you on the next one. Sorry, guys. Anyway, what's going on, Tar Heel Nation? It is your favorite North Carolinian, Russ, the Tar Heel. And in this huddle, baby, we're going to talk about the start of a new era in Chapel Hill. Monday night, 8 p.m. kick on ESPN. Bill freaking Belichick and the Tar Heels hosting Sonny Dykes and the Texas Christian Horned Frogs in beautiful, magnificent, picturesque Kenan Stadium, dude. But before we get into all that, I wanted to take a second to thank Tar Heel Nation and all of the college football family, man, for all of your continued support as the channel enters its third football season. Year one, we grew to 1,300 subs. Year two, we doubled that up and we grew to 26, which is where it's at currently. And I can't thank you guys enough for all the love, man. If you haven't done so already, man, do me a favor, whether you are a Tar Heel or not, man, take a second, smash that daggum subscribe button, and immediately following this video, man, punch the stinking thumbs up, man. It's great for the algorithm, and I look forward to hanging out with you guys throughout the 2025 football season. So keep in mind, today is Thursday. Tomorrow, $100 score prediction and call-in show Friday night. We do this every Friday night for the duration of football season, man. So make sure that you come here 8 p.m. Eastern and call into the call-in show for an opportunity to win some cash. It doesn't cost you anything. All you do is call. You can take 10 seconds and give me a score prediction, or me and you can stink and chop it up about Carolina and TCU, man. It's always a really fun time, and it's called the night before call-in show, man. So whether you are a Tar Heel or not, bro, call into the show, man. There's no reason why you wouldn't call in for an opportunity to win $100. And I'm hoping to get some TCU fans. I'm hoping to get some more of the opposing teams to call into the show. And let me know what you think about the Carolina TCU game, man. And then, like I've said in the past, bro, every week that somebody does not pick the correct score, I'm going to throw $25 additional into the pot. I won it one time last year. I think it was week 3 or week 4, so it is possible. Call into the show. Unfortunately, there will be no watch party to start off the year this Monday because your boy is going to be in stinking Chapel Hill for the game, man. But we will obviously be having the infamous watch parties for every other game this season, man. So make sure that you mark that off on your calendar and you come hang out with your boy every home away game while we stinking watch the Hills this season, except for TCU because I'm going to be in Chapel Hill. And then obviously for the duration of the season, man, we'll break down the game every night following the game, usually on Sundays, but obviously this week it'll be really, really late Tuesday night as I will be traveling back from Chapel Hill, man. So tons of content every week, man. You need to make sure you come and you're a part of the family, man. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this thing, man. The fourth all-time meeting between TCU and North Carolina, with the Heels owning a commanding 3-0 series lead. The last time these two programs met on the gridiron was October 4th, 1997, which resulted in a 31-10 Tar Heel win, which was out there in Fort Worth, Texas, man. Now, the Horned Frogs, like I said, are led by head coach Sonny Dykes, who has a combined record of 27-13 at TCU since he was hired in 2022. And if you guys can remember, that was the year that the Horned Frogs made that epic run to the national championship game before they were, let's just say, outclassed by Georgia. But I think that was it was almost inevitable no matter who that Georgia team played. Pretty significant thing, man. I mean, I can't talk. Carolina's never been there, and TCU has, man. So congrats to them for even making a national championship game appearance. And they do have a couple of natties in their history as well. So there is some history with the Texas Christian program. Now, looking at the offensive preview. Offensively, the Frogs returned 6'2", 200-pound junior quarterback Josh Hoover, who threw for 3,949 yards with 27 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. last season. He did boast a 66.5% completion percentage, and he is kind of a prototypical pocket passer, even though he's not the biggest guy, because he does have a negative 19 rushing yards, sack adjusted, that is, rushing yards on the season last year with 4 touchdowns on the ground. Now, the interesting thing is that Hoover's top targets are almost all gone, okay? They do bring in Idaho transfer wide receiver Jordan Dwyer, who had 1,200 receiving yards last year at Idaho. He was an all-Big Sky guy last year. And they also bring in Joseph Manjack from Houston, along with their leading returning receiver, Eric McAllister, who went for 762 yards and 5 touchdowns. Now, Kavorian Barnes comes over from UTSA, and he's going to try and resurrect what was an absolutely non-existent rushing attack from last year's TCU team. They did throw the football the 15th most times in the entire country. And, a lot of that was obviously because they just really could not establish the ground game. I think they were 112th in the country. Now, defensively, TCU does return their top 7 tacklers, to include linebacker Nnamdi Obiezor, who had 81 tackles, 6.5 TFLs, and an interception. The strength of this defense, however, is going to be the secondary, with safeties Bud Clark and Jamel Johnson coming back. Probably one of the top safety groups in the entire country. But this defense did give up 30 or more points on 5 separate occasions last year, including a 66-point outburst from SMU, and then completely disappearing late against a really down UCF team. They lost that game 35-34, and UCF was only 4-8 last year, didn't even go bowling. So really uncharacteristic loss for the Horned Frogs last year. Like I said, they weren't able to run the football. They weren't able to generate much of a pass rush in 2024 either. And they were absolutely awful on third down. So getting off the field is going to be paramount for this Horned Frogs team. Now, on the other side of the football, on the North Carolina side, the obvious headline going into the 2025 season is the hiring of NFL's coaching GOAT, Bill freaking Belichick, right? Roaming the Tar Heel sideline. Who would have ever thunk, bro? It's crazy that that's only a couple of days away, man. But something many on the outside may not be fully aware of is the fact that about 70% of UNC's roster from last year is gone, okay? That's either from graduation, the transfer portal, or the National Football League, man. Crazy the turnover on this stinking roster. I mean, it's really completely new. You can almost not compare 2024 to 2025 in any way, shape, or form. The program from the top down has completely been redone. Now, the second biggest storyline is the fact that Coach Belichick just announced Gio Lopez as his QB1 going into week 1. There was a little bit of a battle, at least on the surface level, between him and Max Johnson. Obviously, Carolina signed 2 really good 4-stars, and Bryce Baker and Torrey Newkirk. However, they're buried on the depth chart right now, and Gio Lopez has been given the reins per Coach Belichick's pre-TCU press conference. Very interesting right there, because a little bit of a battle between him and Max Johnson. Max Johnson will be QB2, and he'll be ready to go should, God forbid, anything happen to Gio Lopez. Now, Gio Lopez last year at South Alabama threw for 2,559 yards with 18 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. So he did a really good job of protecting the football. And he also rushed for 465 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground, so the kid can scoot as well. A lot of it is going to be broken plays, not necessarily design runs per se, even though he can be effective on the design run. But he's just really good sometimes at making plays in broken play situations. Now, Carolina returns Davion Goss, a.k.a. Bullet, who had a really promising freshman year as Omarion Hampton's backup rusher, RB2. He rushed for 326 yards and 4 touchdowns on 4.9 yards per carry. And I would say that Davion has some huge shoes to fill. But unfortunately for him, man, he's not going to have to do it all by himself, man. He's got a pretty solid running back room with Benjamin Hall coming over from Michigan, as well as a healthy Caleb Hood, who I believe either one of those individuals could start to kind of wiggle their way into that RB1 position. We'll see how that all works out. But I do think that this is going to be a little bit more running back by committee and Bill Belichick will ride the hot hand. Now, the wide receiver room is young, but promising. Jordan Shipp is obviously a star in the making. Kobe Paysour has been really close a couple of times until, unfortunately, he's been injured. So hopefully he has an injury-free season. And then you got guys like a Nathan Leacock, who's a former top 100 prospect over from Tennessee. So there are some really good targets to throw the football to out wide. Then you got Jake Johnson, Shamar Easter, Connor Cox. They're going to look to be the next Bryson Nesbitt, John Copenhaver, and Kamari Morales tight end room type ordeal, man. So lots of weapons on the outside for Gio and Max to go to work with. The one unknown here is the recent news of offensive lineman Austin Blasky going down. He's going to miss at least the first 3 weeks, try to get him back before the Clemson game. And then UNC's being really cautious, the last that I've heard, with Christo Kelly. So the question is going to be, how quickly can that offensive line gel without possibly their two most experienced and talented offensive linemen? On the defensive side of the football, Steve Belichick comes over from Washington to try and revive a dismal Carolina defense at best. Over the course of the last 15 years, a ton of attrition from this entire side of the football. Matter of fact, the only returning everyday starters from last year's team could be cornerback Marcus Allen, the nickel Caleb Cost, and then the safety Will Hardy. Those could be the only returning guys, if I'm not mistaken. One of the questions we got to ask ourselves is, can Price Yates from UConn, Vilbert Smith from Penn State, CJ Sims from ECU, DeAndre Robinson from Florida, can they hold it down in the trenches? Because that front four is going to be my biggest concern going into this season on the defensive side of the football. I feel really good about the back seven. It's the front four that I need to show me. And if the front four can play, man, if they're doing really well, even if it's just that first line, Carolina might have a really effective defense, man. Pretty solid back seven, like I said, in my opinion, starting with the backers: Kamori House from Washington, Mekhi Bayer from Missouri by way of Nebraska, and Andrew Simpson from Boise State. Could be a really solid core, man. And then Thad Dixon on the outside at the corner position is an all-ACC type guy. And he's going to lock down. He's going to look to lock down that one side opposite of Marcus Allen. And Carolina's got some guys back there with Gavin Gibson, like I said, Caleb Koss, and some others that can be really effective on the back end, man. So, very interested to see how Steve Belichick turns the defense around. So, let's get into 3 keys to victory for both teams, man. And we're going to start it off with the visiting TCU Horned Frogs. Now, number one, this may kind of shock you a little bit, okay, because we're talking about Josh Hoover, probably one of the upper echelon quarterbacks, especially in the Big 12, but maybe even the entire country. I think TCU needs to establish a ground game, man. Now, this, like I said, may seem very counterintuitive when you take into consideration that Hoover almost threw for 4,000 yards last year, but I need you to hear me out. Carolina's secondary could be pretty good, and Steve Belichick loves to be physical out on the corner and disrupt the routes. I think that's what he's going to try to do. With so many unknowns out wide for TCU in front of a very hostile Kenan Stadium, Bill Belichick's first college football game, the Horned Frogs might want to attack UNC's question marks in the front four. Hoover versus Carolina secondary is strength on strength, in my personal opinion, man. So TCU's running game would be Carolina's front four against Carolina's front four. That could be weakness against weakness. I don't know, man. Pick your poison. One of the interesting factors here is that Hoover did have 4 multiple interception games last year, so he can turn the football over because he likes to work the middle of the field a lot when you look at his film. And as good as Hoover is, this might not be the defense to attack the outside in 2025. Might want to establish the ground game, but who the hell am I? Key number 2, get out to an early lead. Okay, put the pressure squarely on the shoulders of UNC's defense to be perfect, trying to keep the game as close as possible within striking distance, as well as the offense playing catch up. Now, TCU jumps out to an early lead, and it'll test just how close this new UNC roster is. TCU guys have been playing together for a while. UNC guys have been together maybe for 8 months if they got here in January. And it might also quiet the crowd a little bit, because I do think that it's going to be ruckus. And key number 3 here, man, stay composed and adapt. Okay, it's week 1. It's at Carolina, Monday Night Football, and the only game on national television. It's possibly going to feel like the entire world is against the Horned Frogs. Regardless of what happens in the football game, TCU needs to keep their composure, okay? You need to realize that you have no idea what to expect from Carolina. They're going to have to be ready to go into halftime and make some adjustments after they finally see what Carolina's trying to do. Stay composed, stay in the game. Don't let the first half get the best of you. Maybe even control the bleeding until you can find out what Carolina really is trying to do. And now for the Tar Heels' keys to the victory. Number 1, once again, bro, establish the run, okay? Bullet, Caleb Hood, and Benjamin Hall have got to establish the run behind that UNC offensive line and assert their dominance over that Big 12 defense or lack thereof. If Carolina can make TCU commit numbers to the box, it should free up the play-action pass and give Gio some easier passing lanes, right? Not a very big guy, but that may very well help him get the ball downfield a little bit. Bill's not going to be afraid to methodically move the football down the field this year, so I 100% anticipate a very different offensive approach than we've seen since the hiring of Fedora and Mac Brown. I mean, well, maybe last year, obviously, because Omarion Hampton got a ton of totes, and we heavily leaned on him. But Carolina has got to establish the run. That's my number 1 key to victory. Number 2, capitalize. If Carolina's going to come out of week 1 with a win, they're going to have to capitalize on their opportunities. You only get a couple of opportunities a game to make some splash plays, okay? Gio throws a really good fade ball, and I anticipate that we'll see a couple of shots after key 1 is established. That's if it's established. So you've got to capitalize on those big play opportunities and then connect with them, especially if you get a true one-on-one with no safety high. If you can get Bud Clark out of the picture, man, if you can get Jamel out of the picture, you've got to take your shots to guys like Jordan Shipp and let him make a play. And key number 3, and this is probably a very important one. It's arguably the most highly anticipated Carolina home opener, maybe in the program's history. So the moment is big for sure. Don't let it be bigger than it actually is, man. Stay under control, be hyped, but don't overhype yourself and play your stinking game, man. Read your keys, trust your eyes, play aggressive, stay under control, because it will truly be an electric atmosphere on Monday night. And that'll bring us to the next segment of the video, which is the prediction portion, okay? But before I give you my opinion on this game, let me introduce you guys to the newest segment for the 2025 season, the Huddle Hooligan Zone, the walking college football encyclopedia, the pride of Pittsburgh, our favorite Yinzer. Give it up for Hutch. What say you, Hutch?
What is going on, Tar Heel Nation? It is your boy Hutch, here with the Week 1 Fearless Prediction. Myself, your favorite North Carolinian, Russ the Tar Heel, Dennis and Preston, and a bunch of the other hooligans will all be at Kenan Stadium on Monday, September 1st, 2025 for a new era in Carolina football, the Bill Belichick era. Their opponent will be the TCU Horned Frogs, who come in boasting the number 8th ranked passing attack from 2024, averaging almost 34 points a game, led by senior quarterback Josh Hoover, who threw for just under 4,000 yards and 27 touchdowns last year. They do lose their top 2 receivers to the NFL, but they return Eric Alexander, who had 35 first downs on only 39 catches and is a legit deep threat. They do have to replace 3 offensive line starters, which could be a factor. The Frogs also ranked 112th in rushing yards per game last year, averaging only 113 on the ground. Defensively, they return Nnamdi Obiazor, who is a stud linebacker, as well as what they call their stud Devin Deal. Both disruptive players from the 63rd ranked defense last year, but 23rd against the pass. The big thing is the Frogs return both coordinators. Alex Avalos on defense and Kendall Briles on offense. They're running the same system that they run. This is a team that won 9 games last year, had a couple games that they kind of gave away. Talented overall group. As for the Heels, I think we're all kind of wondering what we've got. I think one of the biggest things that I've heard the hooligans talk about and other fans is Carolina going to have a pass rush? Who is their defensive line going to be, and can they consistently get pressure on the quarterback? And if they can't, Josh Hoover's going to eat them alive. So that being said, I think Carolina has, question marks. They're learning a new scheme. And anytime you are learning a new scheme, especially on defense, with no preseason games to kind of iron out the kinks and get people with continuity, that could be a factor. TCU doesn't have that problem. These guys have been playing together. There are still players that were on that team and went to the national title game 3 years ago. So that being said, I just think TCU is more ready week 1 than than North Carolina is. I think this game was in week 5 or 6. It might go a different way. So that being said, man, week one, I got to go with the Frogs. I'm going to say 31-24 Frogs. I'm still of the mindset, too, that I think Carolina might have issues in the kicking game with a guy who's sub 60%, over 30 yards in his career. That might come back to haunt him this year. But, I'm expecting to have a hell of a good time with the Hooligans. And, for your sake, I hope my prediction's wrong, but that's what I got to go with for right now, gentlemen.
All right. So there you have it. Hutch has the Horned Frogs by 7, 31-24. I appreciate you, Hutch, man. We'll keep track of me and Hutch's predictions as the season goes along. He's going to keep me based because I'm competitive, and I want to beat Hutch in the prediction portion of the show as well, man. So if you guys remember the NCAA college football simulation that we did, it actually had the Heels winning this game 41-35, and Gio Lopez went for almost 400 yards through the air. So, I don't know. You take that for what you will. Interestingly enough, also, 83% of the college football world, who may or may not be slightly biased, are picking North Carolina to beat TCU. So shout out to the over, 150 people who voted, man. I really appreciate you guys and your participation. Now, the ESPN matchup indicator gives the TCU Horned Frogs a 58.7% chance at beating the Heels, and they are currently 3-point favorites at the time of this video. But I think a lot of that is based a lot more on the fact that no one really knows what they're going to see Monday night when Coach Belichick's Heels take the field, man. So the natural tendency, the natural inclination is to go with what you know. Let's think and ride, okay? Josh Hoover is arguably the best quarterback in the Big 12 this year, but he's missing 3 of his 4 top receivers from last year's campaign. That's huge, man, okay? Not to mention the complete lack of a running game last year makes this a very one-dimensional type team that places almost all of the weight on Hoover's ability to get that passing game going, man. So, like I said, this is strength on strength here, man, and I very much believe that Sonny Dykes is going to stink and live and die by Josh Hoover's ability to push the ball down the middle of the field, man. Hoover against Carolina's back 7 should be a fun matchup to watch. On the other hand, I think Carolina's ability to actually run the football against that scary patented Big 12 defense is the chink in the armor for the Frogs. Omarion Hampton is no longer on the roster. There's no doubt about it, okay? There's not a guy like Omarion on the roster, but Carolina's running back room has a couple of dudes that can very much get the job done. There are no slouches in any way, shape, or form, man. Kenan is going to be rocking. The atmosphere could be one of the greatest in Carolina history, and it may just come down to who handles the spotlight better. I think this one is close. Really close, man. It's a tough call. It's a tough call, okay? And like I said, I'm trying to call this game and I'm trying to put biases aside, okay? I've really gone back and forth a couple of times, man, and you guys know that in my way too early predictions, I picked TCU to beat Carolina, but I really did say it was a coin flip. I'm going to give North Carolina 30 points, and I'm going to give TCU I'm going to give TCU only 24. And here's the big reason why. Coaches kept everything close to the collar leading up to this game, and Sonny Dykes has even talked about how difficult it is to prepare for this game with a totally new coaching staff, completely new team, and almost no game film to game plan for. I think that's huge. It's a huge advantage in game one for the Heels, man. And I think it helps Carolina get over the hump in week one. I'm not even saying that Carolina's the better team. It's just that is such a huge advantage going into week one. Keep in mind this also. Carolina is 5-1 in their last 6 openers, with 2 wins against South Carolina on neutral sites, a win against Syracuse and FAMU at home, and a win at Minnesota up in Big Ten country. Okay, the lone loss came at Lane Stadium against the Hokies in 2021. Okay, but this game ain't at Lane Stadium. Carolina's secondary presses often on the corners, on the outside, and they keep TCU's receivers from coming free over the middle on the slants and seams up the hash where Hoover likes to live. And I think he doesn't have the cleanest game, man. Expect an interception or 2. I think Carolina starts the stinking era off right, man, and we are off and running, boys. Off and running, man. So you let me know what you think about this game down in the comment section, Tar Heel fans and college football family. I need all of my Tar Heels, all the Horned Frogs, to let me know what you're expecting out of this game, man. There are no right or wrong answers, all right? Even if you're not a Tar Heel or Horned Frog, comment down in the comment section, man, and let's get this conversation started. I want all the smoke. I want all the banner. I want all the trash talk over the next course of the next couple of days leading up to this kickoff, man. Will the Belichick era start off with a bang? Or will it be an uphill climb from the get-go, man? I don't know. I really don't know, man. Your guess is as good as mine, all right? So, let's go ahead and chop it up in the comments section and get this stinking convo rolling, dude. And give me a favor, okay? There's a new feature down there, okay? It's called the Hype Video. So if you enjoyed this content at all and you want to support the channel, do me a favor and stinking hype this thing up, bro. Hype this thing up as we get ready for kickoff. Don't forget, call-in show Friday, August 29th at 8 p.m. Need Tar Heels and the Horned Frog Nation to represent their squads and give me some score predictions. You predict the score right, and you win 100 bones. I'll send it there right to you, baby. Do me a solid and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified every time this Tar Heel posts a new video. You already know that it's a great day to be a Tar Heel. I'll see y'all boys Friday night. Go Eagles.